I've told this so many times about paying for an abortion, and I really believe that when I woke up to what I had done, it was like the first major thing ever in my life where I realized I cannot undo this. And that was agony. So we have to go through that. And that's why people will do some superficial statement about forgiveness or whatever, or they'll just live in bitterness versus experience the agony that will get you out of bitterness. From New Life Ministries, this is Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn. I'm Stephen Arterburn. And Going Deeper is all about taking the tough issues, the hard issues of life, looking a little bit deeper inside so that we can gain some insight into our lives. Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for joining me for Going Deeper. We've been going through the alphabet, picking out a word that maybe could change everything for certain people. And today we're on the letter G. There it is, the letter G. I love doing calligraphy. Didn't do such a great job here. But anyway, it's G for grief. In the previous episode, when we focused on F and forgiveness, I talked about, sometimes people don't fully forgive because they've missed a step. And the step that they miss is grieving. A lot of times someone says, hey, you need to be forgiving because that's what Jesus did. And, so you're thinking, okay, I'm supposed to forgive that someone murdered my child instantly? Do that? Doesn't work. The only way a person could, I think, ever forgive, truly forgive, if there's a major loss like that, is to go through the grieving process. So let's look at some things about grief. I've said before that perhaps the epidemic of the Christian community, well, I've certainly said it's pornography, but also ungrieved losses. Because there's so many superficial, unrealistic expectations that are put on Christians that are in pain. And other people will throw them at you because they want to feel better about themselves. So they just want you to forgive and forget, get on with your life. But what you really need to do is to grieve. In the grieving process, we experience agony. So why don't people grieve, fully grieve? They don't want to go through agony. And that's what it's all about. That agony, it's all about sadness over the loss. And here's another big one. I can't change it. I can't get it back. There's nothing I can't bring this person, if it's a death, bring them back to life. I can't make this marriage over again. That's a big part of that agony. Irreversibility of what's happened. Oh my goodness. I've told this so many times about paying for an abortion, and I really believe that when I woke up to what I had done, it was like the first major thing ever in my life where I realized I cannot undo this. And that was agony. So we have to go through that. And that's why people will do some superficial statement about forgiveness or whatever, or they'll just live in bitterness versus experience the agony that will get you out of bitterness. Grieving is expression of emotion and unacceptable emotions in many Christian circles. And so you have to have a safe place or a safe person to do this with. And what we're talking about here is I'm going to be angry that I don't have something that I wanted. If someone molested me when I was younger, they have stolen, they've taken my innocence. They've taken time before I was sexualized. And I have to grieve that. And who wouldn't be angry about that? I've seen so many wonderful organizations crop up that help people who are surviving abuse, especially sexual abuse or assault. And they help them process and to grieve and get that anger out, express exactly what they're feeling. And that's such a great thing. The more anger I can express over here, the more agony I can go through here, the less I have to drag along with me. Now, I didn't really understand that until this horrible betrayal happened to me. And then I realized I'm either going to experience it all right here, or I'm just going to continue to experience it over and over again. Now, I started to notice people that they would talk about something and it would seem like it was yesterday. And I just felt so bad for them because they were still in that place of anger, hurt, agony, all of that. You know, when a parent loses a child, well, I don't think you're ever truly the same. But if you do the work and you go through that painful grieving process and you get support from other parents who've been through this with you, eventually that healing process plus time, one day you're going to wake up and realize, well, now maybe I'm having a few more better days than bad days. Good days over bad. But you're still going to have some really bad days. But that's progress that you're making. So if we're going to fully grieve, we've got to express all of our emotions, our disappointment. We might need to write letters we never send to somebody. We might need to scream and yell or cry. But we want to do it with somebody that can help us to contain all of that while we express all of that and help us to understand where it came from and why we don't want that to be the dominating force of our life going forward. I do know this. The older we get, the more loss, the more hurt, and the more we're going to need to grieve. So the younger you are when you start that grieving process, the better it is. Pretty sad not to be a grieving person in a world that's full of hurt. But eventually, you know, we grieve and we become aware of a new world that is without whatever it is that we've had. You know, we've been through the agony and the anger, and now we wake up, okay, here's my new world. If you're a widow, like my mom, my dad died very early, and so she had to wake up to, here's my life, and I've got to learn some things that I don't know how to do because he's never, ever going to be here. And that awareness, you know, it certainly is a painful awareness of this is the different life. It'll never be the same, but it's doable. I am competent enough to get through it. But I need to be aware of what it is I need to do. If my spouse did all of the bookkeeping, then I've got to figure that out. Hire somebody, or I've got to become my own bookkeeper, whatever it is. I'm aware of that. If I'm in a couples group, then I have to be aware that I'm not going to be in that group anymore. They're not going to desert me or abandon me, but I'm no longer a couple. And to become aware of that means I'm not showing up at places where maybe it would be time to show up at a different place. I want to tell you a sad thing. I was in a Baptist church, and the couples group met up on the second floor in this amazing, big, huge area where everybody could meet and greet and talk, and then they'd do the Sunday school lesson and they'd have great music and everything. But the divorced folks, the single divorced folks, literally, not kidding, met in the basement near the boiler room of that church. Is that a horrible thing? But look, if I'm aware of that, I'm not going to be shocked by that. And I can come to the fourth thing in my life after I grieve and while grieving is the word acceptance. I come to accept a new life that I'm aware of. And I can live in this. God is going to be with me. God will comfort me. I've got to have support around me, even though in the beginning I'm irritated by anything and everything people say. I need a counselor. I might need to go to grief group and go through grief care at a church. But I come to this place of acceptance, and I know I'm going to be okay. It's going to be a lot of pain maybe, but I'll get better. I'll get through it, and I'll get beyond it. if I don't try to stuff those feelings, don't try to deny those feelings, numb them, whatever it is. Grief indicates there's been a loss, a horrible loss. And it might just be a natural death or whatever. It could be a tragedy that compounds the grief. But whatever it is, just know this: God is there for you, wants to comfort you. And He says that I comfort you so that you in turn one day can comfort others who are going through what you've been through. Grief, it's a very painful necessity for a better life up ahead. Thank you for joining me for Going Deeper. I hope something I've said may have helped just a little bit. If you have a question you'd like me to answer or comment, just email me at stevesocial@newlife.com. I'll see you next time.
If you want to support Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. And if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, be sure to share it with them. See you on the next Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries.